Hey guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Syndey and I am a May 2021 IB graduate. I will be studying Biomedical Sciences at university this fall. Which university in particular, I'm still deciding, but I'm sure I have to come to a decision soon. In the past few weeks, I've been posting very informative videos about how to get good grades in specific subjects, and I thought it's time for me to sit down and do a more reflective video. And just this video, I promise I'll get back to all of those ASAP, but I really wanted to make this video as well because I think it might help some of my viewers out there. And as you can see from the title of this video, I was not accepted into Oxford University, and actually I applied to, I counted 10 universities in total, and Oxford was the only university that I was rejected. So with that said, I'm not in the position of giving you advice on like how to get in, how to like smash the interview and everything, but I think if you're watching this video, you can still learn some things, like for example my regrets, things I didn't do well, things that I could have done that would have helped me to increase my chances of getting an interview and things like that. So yeah, so let's get into the video. So just to give you a bit of a background context, for Oxford, I also applied to Biomedical Sciences, and for that major you need to take the BMAT, which is the Biomedical Admissions Test, as like an entrance exam into applying that course. So I took the IB, as I said, and it was scored out of 45, and for that my predicted grade sent to the Oxford was a 44 out of 45. So my application process included, before October 15th I submitted my application through Igcse, and on November 4th 2020 I did my BMAT exam. At the end of that November I got my results, and then probably just 1 or 2 weeks after that I received an email from Oxford saying that I was not invited to an interview. My BMAT grades were not like super good. They're above the UK average, so my section A critical thinking was 5.0, section B the science one was like 5.1, and 3.08 for the writing section, and the average like grade whatever for the UK is shown on this graph on the screen. It's not super bad, it's not like I flopped the exam entirely, but even though it's like above average for the entire UK, it was only average for Oxford applicants. So I immediately knew that when I saw my grade, I knew that it didn't like eliminate my chances entirely, but it doesn't make me stand out as well. So yep, that's enough about my stats. So let's get into the why I think I did get in part. Just to clarify, these are things that I think would have increased my chances of getting in. It's not like I've done the interview and then I got like a very detailed feedback. But I think if you're watching, you can still learn quite a lot of things from this video. So yeah. Well, the first thing is not doing the Igcse. So for my 8th grade to 10th grade, I did the IB NYP, so I was in an IB school, which is sort of the equivalent for Igcse, but it's part of the IB. And I was struggling in NYP because we didn't have a set syllabus, so there wasn't any past papers I could look at, and then just everything just felt very like fluid. The teacher could do anything they want, so the classes were really loose. Igcse scores are important because they are an indicator for the admission officers to look at to see if they want to give you an interview. So from the Oxford Biomedical Science website, they tell you that in order to determine whether or not they want to give you an interview, they can take into consideration your Igcse grade and your BMAT grade, and they mix them together and then give a score, and using that score they rank you, and they will only give interviews to the top, for example 120 applicants. I feel like there's a problem with this because it's so much easier to get, I don't know, like 9 A stars in Igcse compared to getting a very good grade in the BMAT, because BMAT is a university level entrance exam, and it's designed to be hard so you can like separate the good applicants and the very good applicants and like the, I don't know, geniuses. That was my disadvantage. I didn't have an Igcse grade to like help balance it out and pull it up, and I relied entirely on my BMAT grade. With my BMAT grade, I did not get an interview, and I asked for feedback from the admissions officer so that I can get a relative idea on like where I'm at. She said my BMAT grades was close to the average for a cohort as a whole. Our applicants scored an average of 5 on section 1, which is exactly my grade, 4.8 on section 2, which I scored 5.1, so it's slightly bit higher, and 3.28 on section 3, which I actually scored a 3.0A. So as you can see, I'm almost right on the average, and it says that out of the 520 something applicants for your 2021 entrance, in terms of the ranking, I was ranked around at 250 out of 520 something, but they only offer an interview to the first 120 applicants. If I do have an IGCSE grade, how much will it lift that up? I don't know. I guess we'll never find out. But I never knew Oxford paid so much attention to IGCSE. So if you're, I don't know, you're just starting high school, considering taking IGCSE, even though you want to take IB later and things like that, it might increase your chances of at least getting an interview. The second thing I want to talk about is like my mistake is not starting early enough. I didn't know what I'll be studying in university until the end of year time, when I'm practically forced to choose my IB subjects, and I know I'm going to UK, so I need a very focused IB subject, and I basically forced myself to take double sciences and just tell myself, okay, you're going into the sciences. This means I did not get a head start of my supercurriculars, which, if you don't know what supercurriculars are, they are basically activities that are related to the major you're applying. And I know that Oxford and Cambridge really pay a lot of attention to their applicants' supercurricular activities and how you spent enough time exploring that field to make an informed decision, basically. I did not get a head start at that. I only started that when, I don't know, halfway through year 11, when I'm thinking, maybe I want to try to apply to Oxford with my grades. But I know friends who have started that since 9th grade. That's how determined they are. They have planned that so long. So that's a disadvantage as well, because I could have done like so many summer schools, participated in more competitions, read more books, did more exploration, did more internship. I don't know, there's so many other things I could have done, but because I started late, I didn't have the time. So I feel like if you really want to have a very good application to Oxford or Cambridge, you really need to start early and like start building up your resume. You need to spend a lot of time figuring out what you want to do, and then spend a lot of time exploring that area. I didn't do that, and even though I did include that in my application, there were too little of them because I started too late. And another thing about not starting early enough is that, for example, when I was doing NRYP, I didn't care about physics. Like, I know I would never ever do physics because I'm terrible at math, and so I studied physics in class just to be able to pass an exam. Like, I'm not even aiming for a high score. I just wanted to pass my physics exam. But when I was preparing for the BMAT, I noticed that the BMAT test used on physics as well. So I basically had to relearn physics on my own just to prepare for that exam. If I knew I wanted to apply to Biomed in Oxford, if I knew I needed to do the BMAT and that the BMAT tests you on physics, maybe I would have paid more attention in class rather than just like not caring about it and then having to catch up with that later on because I decided to take that exam. Yeah, I just wish I knew a lot of things earlier so that I could have just had more time for preparation. When I was preparing for BMAT, it was one of the toughest times in my high school years. And the third thing I wish I knew was to not apply for such a competitive program. Biomedical Science is one of the most competitive courses in Oxford, and I didn't know that. I was just set on doing Biomedical Sciences. I didn't do a bit of exploration and things like that. Remember I said how out of 520 something applicants this year, only the first 120 applicants got an interview, and that equates to around only 20 to 25% of the applicants got an interview. That's only like getting an interview. And if you look at the statistics, less than 10% of applicants actually get into that course. So I think this year is about around 7%. 7%, it's so low. This is almost as competitive as doing computer sciences at Oxford, which if you are part of those like tutoring agencies and college application agencies, they would advise you against applying for computer sciences at Oxford or Cambridge because it's so competitive. Whereas another course that's very similar to biomed, for example, for biochemistry at Oxford, up to 50 to 54% of the applicants, I think, I'll show the statistics here, but around 50% of the applicants get an interview, while only 20-something percent of the applicants get an interview for biomed. At the end, for biochemistry, I think 20-something percent of the participants will get into that course, while for biomed, it's less than 10% at around 7%. So I really didn't know how competitive my course was, but I think I was very determined with that course, so I made the right choice of applying for biomed at Oxford as well. At this point, you just really need to consider your priority. If you are aimed at Oxford and you don't care as much about your course, do research about how competitive each course is. I didn't look at it that much because I was just determined to do biomed, so yeah, it's not a mistake, but it really depends on your priority. Like some people, they just want the name of the school, they just want that school because of how prestigious it is, but other people want to focus more on their courses, their programs. So it really depends on you. This is something that I feel like I could have researched it more before applying. I could have applied for biochemistry at Oxford and maybe I would have at least gotten an interview. And I think for biochemistry, you don't need to do an entrance exam as well, I think. Let me check that later. So that's it for this video. It's a slightly shorter video and it's a more reflective, like rambly video, but I hope you guys learned something from it and learn from my mistakes so that you guys can avoid these mistakes when you do apply to, I don't know, Oxford, Cambridge, or any other like prestigious universities. I feel like in my mind, I'm still not convinced that I'm not the right person for Oxford. I'm still not convinced with the idea because, as you can see, I did not put the entirety of my time in my life into preparing for this application, and I never labeled Oxford as my dream school. I applied to Oxford just to challenge myself, just like to be more ambitious and see what I can do. It was never a be all and all thing for me. I responded to the, rejection fairly well because I didn't invest so much of my time and energy into applying for that school and like hoping to get in. I don't know, maybe in the future for masters, I don't know, later on, I might apply to Oxford again. It might just not be the right timing when I was, this year when I applied. Maybe in the future I'll apply again and then see what happens. Maybe at one point I will be convinced that I will just never be the right person for them. And so yeah, that's it for this video. It's a short video, so if you guys have any questions, just put it down in the comments and I'll get back to them. I promise. If you guys want a separate video about, I don't know, my application process, talking about my personal statements, things like that, I'll be glad to do that as well. So yeah, that's it for today's video. See you in my next video on Thursday. Bye.